Someone woke up today thinking they had time and didn't make it to the end of the day. No warning, no preparation, no closure. Hold that for a second, not as information, but as something that includes you, because it does. While you're reading this, your life is not paused. It is being spent, quietly, irreversibly. Each minute dissolves the moment it arrives. There is no storage, no recovery, no extension, and still, you behave as if time were something you could save for later. That's the strange part. No one lied to you. At some point, this became clear, maybe in a hospital hallway, maybe watching someone disappear in real time, maybe alone at night, when silence got heavy enough that distraction stopped working. You felt it. You just didn't stay with it. Because staying with it would dismantle too much. Irvin Yalom spent decades listening to people when distraction was no longer an option. When the noise dropped. When the body failed. When the future collapsed into something measurable. And what emerges in those moments is not poetic. It's not philosophical. It's not elegant. It's stripped. People who built entire lives around things that didn't matter. People who performed versions of themselves for decades. People who were present in every room except their own existence. This is not a lack of intelligence. It's avoidance. Because if you truly accept that you will die, certain things stop making sense immediately. Petty conflicts, delayed decisions, enduring a life you already know isn't yours. These structures begin to crack, and maybe that's exactly why you don't look too closely. Not out of weakness, out of consequence. Because the awareness of death doesn't come alone. It brings a question that quietly ruins everything built on autopilot. If this is going to end, why are you living like this? There's no easy answer to that, because you've already noticed the patterns. Days repeating themselves. Conversations that lead nowhere, a kind of fatigue that isn't physical, and something harder to name but impossible to ignore. You are wasting something, not dramatically, continuously. Psychology calls this existential anxiety. Yalom didn't treat it as theory. He saw it in people who reached a point where pretending stopped working. And the pattern is uncomfortable. The more you avoid death, the more superficial your life becomes. Because your decisions shift. They stop being about meaning. They become about avoiding discomfort. And that builds a life that functions, but feels empty. So ask yourself, honestly, how many of your decisions are actually yours? And how many are just ways of not facing what you already know? You don't have to say it out loud, but you know. And here's where it gets heavier. There's no argument that removes this. No optimism that dissolves it. This isn't about mindset. It's about a fact that stays with you, quietly, while you try to dilute it with routine. But it doesn't disappear. It leaks through. In the pauses, in the restlessness, in the inability to sit still without filling the silence. That's not distraction. That's refined avoidance. And the more skilled you become at it, the further you move from anything real. Yalom doesn't soften this. He says it directly. The deepest human conflict is not death itself. It's knowing that death exists and living as if it doesn't. And when that contradiction becomes too strong, something breaks. For most people, it breaks too late. So before you go further, understand this without decoration. You're not moving toward life. You are passing through it, once, without knowing how much remains. And if you keep avoiding that, nothing changes, except time runs out. Life works until it doesn't. There's no preparation for the moment it fractures, no emotional training, no maturity that shields you, just an ordinary day. And then something irreversible happens. A phone call, a diagnosis, an absence that doesn't resolve. A 27-year-old answers his phone in the middle of a normal day. On the other side, a sentence lands without cushioning. His mother is gone. No goodbye, no closure, no final exchange. Minutes earlier, the world still felt stable. After that, nothing aligns the same way. What changes isn't just grief. It's the structure of reality. Everything continues. Traffic, conversations, schedules. But it all feels slightly artificial. Like the stage is still standing, but meaning has been removed from it. Yalom describes this not as drama, but as rupture. The real shock is not loss. It's the collapse of the illusion of control. Patients struggle to describe it. It's not panic, not depression in the usual sense. It's something quieter and more destabilizing. A persistent unease, as if life has become too fragile to trust. A woman seeks therapy after a diagnosis that isn't even severe. Statistically, she is safe. Doctors confirm it. But something has already shifted. The problem isn't the illness, it's the realization. This can happen to me. Not theoretically, actually. And once that enters consciousness in a real way, it doesn't fully leave. Death stops being abstract. It becomes present. Not constantly, but enough to alter perception. Plans feel thinner. Time feels less guaranteed. Superficiality becomes exhausting. Not because she became wiser, because something undeniable surfaced. Nothing is secure. This is existential anxiety, not fear of an event, but tension born from finitude itself. And once seen, it cannot be completely unseen. You can return to routine, you can laugh, work, distract yourself. But something remains altered. A layer of innocence disappears. And underneath it, a quiet recognition. This will happen to me too. Not someday as an idea, but as a certainty with no schedule. It shows up in silence, in moments where meaning suddenly drains, in the strange feeling that time is moving faster than it should. And that is the point most people cannot hold for long, because holding it demands change. So the next movement begins, not understanding, avoidance, but something irreversible has already happened. You saw it. If you held that awareness constantly, your current life would collapse. Not because you're weak, because it's incompatible. A mind that fully understands finitude cannot tolerate just any routine, cannot accept just any relationship, cannot continue indefinitely on autopilot. So you do something precise, you dilute it, consistently, efficiently, almost perfectly. Yalom doesn't call this failure. He calls it a psychological strategy. Necessary to function, but necessary doesn't mean harmless. It means operational. And functioning is not the same as being aligned with reality. The denial of death doesn't appear in big philosophical statements. It appears in small, repetitive behaviors. Endless busyness, constant noise, shallow validation loops. You are not just living. You're keeping yourself occupied enough to avoid certain thoughts. Silence becomes uncomfortable not because of silence itself, but because of what it allows to surface. Research confirms this. When people are subtly reminded of mortality, their behavior shifts immediately. They become more defensive, more rigid, more attached to identity. The ego strengthens, not because it's stable, but because it needs to appear stable. You are participating in a silent agreement. Everyone pretends this isn't happening. In exchange, no one has to face it fully. Career becomes identity. Status becomes anesthesia. Opinion becomes armor. And over time, the structure becomes harder to leave. Because now, you're not just avoiding death. You're defending the entire system you built to avoid it. Yalom saw this clearly. Many people don't arrive broken. They arrive functional, too functional, perfectly adapted to lives they never questioned. But inside, something doesn't fit, and that misalignment doesn't come from failure. It comes from living without confronting finitude. You didn't build a life. You built a distraction refined enough to sustain itself. And it works, but it costs. Because every time you move away from that awareness, you also move away from real criteria for decision. You don't choose what matters. You choose what maintains stability. And stability without truth becomes emptiness over time. That emptiness doesn't disappear. It transforms into vague anxiety, into directionless urgency, into exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix. All of it pointing to something simple. You are living too far from what you already know. And maintaining that distance takes effort. That's why life feels heavy even when everything is fine. Because sustaining illusion is work, and the longer you do it, the more it costs. At the end, people don't regret not working more. They regret not living honestly. In hospital rooms, illusions collapse quickly. Status dissolves. Image becomes irrelevant. Time becomes visible. And what remains is not impressive. It's accurate. People don't talk about achievements. They talk about absence. Relationships they didn't nurture. Truths they didn't speak. Lives they postponed. Yalom understood this with brutal clarity. Death doesn't create truth. It reveals what was always there, buried under noise. And the most disturbing part is this. The realization often comes too late to act on. That's the tragedy, not death itself, but clarity arriving when there is no time left to change anything. This is not about small regrets. It's about realizing you lived as a secondary version of yourself, performing, adapting, complying, and calling that a life. The pattern is consistent across people, cultures, and contexts. I didn't live as myself. I delayed what mattered. I followed expectations. When different lives converge on the same conclusion under pressure, it stops being subjective. It becomes structural. And here is the uncomfortable extension. That regret doesn't begin at the end. It begins now, in small compromises, in quiet avoidance, in choosing safety over truth repeatedly. The end just magnifies what was already happening. So the real sentence is this. It's not death that terrifies at the end. It's realizing you didn't live. If you truly accept death, your current life cannot remain the same. Something has to break, and that's exactly why most people don't sustain that awareness. Because it demands loss of identity, loss of roles, loss of illusions that once made things feel stable. But what replaces it is something rare: clarity. Yalom observed this repeatedly. People who confront mortality deeply don't become more dramatic. They become more precise. They stop negotiating what matters. Not out of motivation, out of impossibility. They can no longer lie to themselves with the same ease. And that changes everything. The idea of death doesn't destroy meaning. It exposes where meaning never existed. And that forces a different kind of life. Not louder, not more intense, more aligned. But alignment has a cost. You lose comfort. You lose roles that no longer fit. You lose versions of yourself that were never real to begin with. And very few people are willing to pay that price fully. Because clarity demands responsibility. You can't blame circumstance anymore. You start seeing where you're choosing misalignment. And that's heavy, because now it's on you. But there's no halfway point. Either you sustain that awareness, or you return to avoidance. And once you've seen clearly, returning doesn't fully erase it. There is no version of your life where this doesn't happen. No success, no intelligence, no strategy changes the outcome. Time doesn't negotiate. It moves. And you are being carried by it right now, not towards something distant, through something that is already happening. Most people create psychological distance. They treat death as a future event, something for an older version of themselves. But that's not accuracy. That's defense. Because the real question is not, when will this happen? It's, what are you doing while it happens? Every choice has a cost, even the small ones. Staying where you shouldn't, avoiding what matters, repeating patterns you already know are empty. This is how life gets consumed quietly. Not in tragedy, in accumulation. People wait for the right moment to live. More time, more certainty, more control. That moment never comes, because it depends on something impossible. And while waiting, life keeps moving. Yalom doesn't offer comfort here. He offers clarity. Awareness of death doesn't remove fear. It removes illusion. And that forces a different relationship with life. You stop choosing comfort. You start choosing coherence. And coherence demands alignment between what you know and how you live. There's no escape from that once you see it. You can ignore it, but you can't unknow it. So in the end, the truth remains, stripped of everything else. You are going to die. The real question is not whether you accept that. It's whether you will keep living like you've chosen to forget. If there's one thing you've already understood, even if you don't admit it, it's this: your time is not waiting for you. And still, you're here. You stayed. You listened. You didn't scroll past when it got uncomfortable. That already separates you from most people. Because facing this kind of truth isn't light. It's not entertaining. It doesn't give easy answers. It demands something. And the fact that you're still here means, in some quiet way, you're willing to see more than most. Now let me be honest with you. You don't owe anything. Just watching, reflecting, and coming back to these videos. That already supports this work more than you think. It keeps this space alive. But if something here resonates with you, if these ideas stay with you after the video ends, there's a way to go deeper. Becoming a member isn't just access, it's commitment. There are over 100 exclusive videos waiting there. Content that goes further, hits harder, and doesn't dilute the truth. And if you feel like giving something back, even once, the super thanks is there. Not as an obligation, but as a gesture. A way of saying, this mattered to me. In the end, this isn't just a channel. It's a place for people who are done pretending they have forever. If that's you, you already belong here.